This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Hello, good evening and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. As Sheffield Wednesday falls to its fourth defeat on the bounce, leaving them the only team in the EFL not to register a single point, unrest has started to rumble in the usually very loyal Sheffield Wednesday fan base. As we fell to a 98th minute penalty, chants of Chansiri get out of our club started to ring around the Cardiff City Stadium. Is the man upstairs going to listen, or is this a little missed time? Join myself, Simon and Stevie, and tonight we unpick the bones from a very lame carcass that is Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship in 2023. Folks, what did I say? Did I not mention Hollie in the intro?
You did not mention Hollie.
Yeah. And Hollie's here as well. So
record that again.
Tits to it. That's like the fourth time
That's
I've tried. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Because I tell you what, it's not going to be a pleasant show tonight, is it, folks? Now, let's dive straight in. Cardiff City will vault some ball. Simon, I'll tell you what, we'll get into it slowly. Let's not do a 3-minute full match report, but let's go straight into the first half. Not much to write. In fact, tell me about your day, and then we'll stop at half.
Right, okay.
Tell me about that.
Can I have a moan first?
I'll get me brew.
It didn't start well because I didn't get the email. So occasionally I get a bus down from a guy, Paul Bulmer, lovely bloke, organises a bus, picks up Wickersley, Northampton, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't get an email. So Friday night, I got my little call bag out, right? And I picked my beers for the day. So my trip down, 7:10, picked some nice little IPAs. Ash would have been proud of me, right? So we set off at 7:10, so I didn't feel like an IPA. I got to about Birmingham and I had a Brewdog, right? Nice little choice, but I thought I'll save the rest when we come back from Cardiff because I might need to drown my sorrows. So we get to this little part near Newport, gets back on the bus, and some bugger's taken all my beers. Turns out that there's been an email from the EFL stating two things. Firstly, all coaches will be searched because what used to happen is you used to put the beers underneath the bus and then to be there for the second half coming back. All coaches will be searched, and apparently coaches were stopped on the way into Cardiff and searched, and the police took all the booze off. And secondly, now they keep all coaches for 45 minutes after the game. So we didn't leave until 5:45 from Cardiff. So my beers were gone. I had no beers to drink.
What happened?
They were thrown away. The bus driver went through everybody's bags, took the beer out that was left and chucked them away. So there's somebody enjoying some exquisite IPAs in Newport in South Wales.
Now, I've been to Newport a number of times, and it also worth mentioning that's where Goldie Looking Chain were from, to give you a measure of what the town is like. There is a tramp in Newport who had the best Saturday afternoon he's ever had.
Mate, it was Madry and Carling all the way down, of which I was scoffing due to the wonderful IPAs I had in my bag, thinking, ha ha,
sir. So it's not a Welsh rule. It's as you get closer.
Apparently, the police have clamped down on coaches now to all EFL games, and I would imagine Premiership as well. And they're stopping buses. It's been illegal for a while, to be honest. You're not allowed to drink on coaches going to football matches, but people do, surprisingly. And what happens is you put them underneath the bus, and then when you stop halfway out of Cardiff on the way home, get your drink, get your beer, and then console yourself driving home. So I consoled myself with a nice glass of water on the way back.
Oh, God. Stevie, what were you going to say? You were going to add something then?
No, I was just going to ask. I forget the line now, but I was going to ask if it was the name of Goldie Looking Chain's latest album.
Where's me IPA?
Where's me IPA?
I got on the bus and I was like,
pissed up tramp in Newport.
Yeah, I got
the comeback album.
I got back on the coach and I went, "Where's my beer gone? Where's my beer gone?" And these people.
So hang on. So there was no
email?
pre-warning. There was no pre-warning.
No, apparently there was an email that I didn't get.
Oh, but the email was going to say, "Listen, we're going to stop off at Newport to steal all your beers, and we're going to rifle through your bags."
Well,
I mean, what did the email say?
If somebody had told me that all the beer wasn't allowed on the way to the game, yes, exactly. I wouldn't have timed myself. I would have been not put as many in. I was being proper choosy as well. You'd have been proud of me. It was and that's what pissed me off more.
It was all the good beer.
It was 4 cans of Carlsberg. I wouldn't have bothered. It was all my good beer out of my beer fridge at home.
Oh.
Pissed off completely. So actually going into the game, I was in a really good mood.
Right. Ready to go. Ready to go.
Ready to go. Really, really pleased about that.
So tell us about the first half then. Let's get into it. Let me get the lineup up and all the rest of it.
So pull the lineup. So you must have, these people who think that by posting stuff on Facebook or going on podcasts and saying who they should have played, those people who actually think they've influenced our manager are living on a different planet.
Okay.
Or our manager is living on a different planet and he's actually listening to us and he's reading tweets, because he did seem to bring some of the old guard back. Windass, Byers, Bannon played a more central role. You had, but he I'm not quite sure. Steve, what formation did he play?
It seemed to me on paper that it was, depending on what iteration of wing backs you look at, it was either 5 or 3. I'd argue it was a 5 at the back with Delgado and Pato at wing back. And the lineup led you to an assumption there was going to be sort of 2 or 3 in the middle. It seemed to be that you got Byers and Bannon sat centrally, Windass just in front of them with Gregory and Smith up top. Now, to me, rather than a 5-3-2, it seemed to be more like a 5-2-2-1, because Gregory played really, really, really deep.
Yeah, he did.
And I'll be honest, I don't think it suited him. So team comes out at 2 o'clock. You look at it, you see it, and you think, yeah, I'm happy with that. He's gone for it. We're finally playing 2 up top. We've got Windass on the pitch with Gregory. We've got Smith up there. We've got Bannon playing a little bit deeper. That's going to potentially have a little bit more of an impact and influence in the middle of the park. But it became apparent really quickly that Gregory wasn't playing as a 9 or even a 10 necessarily. He was more like an 8, or Dan bangs on about cams. He was a cam. He was dropping. He was dropping deep. He was roaming back. He wasn't holding that line. He wasn't that option. And I just think, for me, if you've got those players that on paper that you put out there, get 2 up top. If you're going to put Windass in behind him, get him behind him. Let Bannon and Byers trust Barry Bannon, because he showed on Saturday that if you play him that little bit deeper, we can deride him all we want, but he's a championship quality player, and that goal he scored was absolutely fantastic. Trust him, let him go play. Get the 3 at the back, the wing backs in, let him be a 5. Give Pato a little bit more discipline. I know he's had a few plaudits for putting himself about, but he was a bit headless at times for me. I just felt you're running around and what have you. But that was the setup. It was, as I said, it was more a 2-2-1 rather than a 3-2. I just don't know if he's got his tactics right.
It was bizarre.
Because looking at it, you had Gregory pulled back. I'd argue Delgado was pulled back, playing in a wing back role.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was playing where. I must admit, I couldn't work out what the formation was when I saw the thing. But you kind of go, okay, so we've gone back to 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs. That was successful to more. That's where we realised it. We could fit Bannon in, and then in front of that you'd have Byers, Volks, and Bannon, right? And that's where you normally go. But we had like 4 midfielders that kind of weren't. Windass is an attacking midfielder. Gregory's a striker. So yeah, like you say, it was like 5-2-2-1 or something. It was ridiculous. I was like, what is this?
It was, and that's the thing that really irked me, was the fact of, again, he brought players in who we know can do a job, but then played them in such alien positions to what they're used to. I mean, Gregory, for me, other than, like we spoke last week about the half chances, he's been one of our best players so far this season, and and I thought he played really well again. His work rate is superb, but just out of position. And I thought Windass had a really good game, certainly in the first half. He was an attacking threat all the time. But again, because other players were played out of position, he'd break, pull forward, and the guys who should be in the box were already playing too deep. Gregory, for example. You had Smith, who Smith needs a footballer by the side of him, a good footballer by the side of him to be effective. It was just the most bizarrest formation. Where he was asking players to play, I was sort of, although we had a good first half, but I don't think Cardiff were very good at all. They were a team there for the taking. They were a team for the taking.
I tell you what, it's interesting you said that, Simon, because I think Stevie said that around about half time. Have you got the squeakiest chair in town, Simon, by the way? No,
it's not me. It's not me. No,
who is it? Who's squeaky?
I think it might be me.
It's squeaky bum time already.
We've got no echo, but we've got squeaky bum time. Now, Steve, you said exactly the same, didn't you? You said they were there for the taking. They're having a bit of a tumultuous time themselves as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Hull, Preston. Sorry, excuse me, misspoke. Hull on paper, we thought were going to be a team that would be one where we'd gone in there after the Southampton game and gone, if we want to see where we are this year, Hull will be the team. But I think actually, when you look at it, the business that they're doing, Hull will be one of the better sides. They'll be up and around the playoffs. So I don't necessarily, whilst I worry about the performance at Hull, I don't necessarily worry about the points that we've dropped. And I know that sounds backwards in a way, because we're looking at targeting teams, aren't we? We're looking at targeting teams and games where you'd be wanting to pick up points. Preston was absolutely a game where we should have been picking up points. Saturday was a game where, whilst you look at it, given the team given the standard that game was, that's a team we need to be taking points off. And I'd argue that, if we are going to be the top end, or we are going to be pushing to the top end of our ambitions, we should have won on Saturday. I genuinely believe that. On paper, with what we've got, Cardiff are a team that we should have been beating. And I think I've been a little bit not vocal, but I've said things that are more negative in terms of my feelings about what's going on at the club at the moment, that I'm sure we'll get into later on when we start talking about other things. But I was worried at 5 o'clock on Saturday, because I looked at it and thought, we should be better than this. We weren't laying a glove on them at times. And as well as people are saying that we've done okay and it was much better and we've doubled the average possession stats and whatever else, it still wasn't good enough for me. It still felt very Magnolia as a performance. It felt very bland. On paper, that's a team that we should go and be threatening against Cardiff. And I just felt that because of the decisions that were made by Xisco, it worried me that he's played people where he's played them. It also worries me that he's literally done the whole Rod Stewart FA Cup draw and gone, right, you can play there today, you can play there today, you can play there today. There doesn't seem to be. We're talking about him having time to implement a brand and an idea and a strategy as to how we're playing football, and he hasn't stuck with anything. There's, we've played three. We've played 3-4 different formations. We've got players coming in, going out. We've got, we've gone to 3 at the back again on Saturday. When we're not going to play 3 at the back this season. It's going to be a 4. We've signed players to play in these positions. We're playing Pato Callum Patterson's played right wing back. He's played right midfield. He's played right back. Liam Palmer's played midfield. He's played right back. He's played right centre half. What are we doing? The biggest worry, sorry, I know I'm rambling, but the biggest worry for me is drag George Byers on an hour. So what is he saying? Yeah. We've said for two years now, the most effective player, the natural successor to our best player for the last 10, 15 years is George Byers. When Barry Bannon goes, it's all about Byers. And we've seen it because we've watched it. And I don't give a damn if it's League One. I'm not bothered about that. I'm not bothered about what league or what standard we're playing in. He showed it against Premiership teams, like the Premier League teams last year. You know, we're talking about a player that can play at Championship level. That can happen. And for him to drag George Byers at 62 minutes tells me that he's not sure what we're doing. George Byers on Saturday should have more of an impact.
I think you're right. We made all those comments before the season started about Chisco ball and big shiny Chisco balls and all the rest of it, but we don't know what that is right now. We've had 4 games and 4 different formations and 4 different lineups. Now the concern is, and this is why people didn't take to Darren Moore. Look how long it took Darren Moore. I mean, he still had his doubters even after getting promoted. It still took Darren Moore a certain amount of time to win over a lot of fans because it took him so long to find out what his best formation, his best start was. And I still don't know what Chisco ball is. We thought it was passing out from the back and sexy football. What formation did we? It ain't that. It's big long hoof ball bullshit. And anyway, I could go on about that all day. Hollie, welcome back. Where'd you go? Are you all right?
After a certain time, I think they just turned the internet off in Pontefract, so I think I just died for a bit, but I'm all right now.
I think at 8 o'clock is when they change the mouse in the wheel that keeps it going.
We have to share it with a neighbouring town, so yeah.
Yeah. Or they give it more £1.50 Jaeger bombs. They're £3.50 down here. Did you know? Anyway, let's talk about their goal. So virtually straight after half time, we're thinking, right, 0-0. Let's try and get a 1-0. At least let's draw 0. Let's get a point on the board. And then a deep cross goes into the box. And this is, for me, where football has gone. That deep cross over to the back far post for the nod back in and everybody scramble. It's exactly the goal that Liam Palmer scored against Peterborough in the second leg. I mean, you see Momo desperately scrambling for it, and was he involved in that Peterborough in that Preston goal the week before as well? Was that him? I can't remember. Who were the 2 guys?
You've got your Diabys mixed up. You're thinking Bambo Saturday.
It's Bambo on Saturday.
Was that racist, Steve? Sorry, I'm just trying to work that out. Is that
listen. All them Diabys look alike.
Jesus Christ!
I think
only you could say that.
Momo's better than Bambo, from what I saw.
I've got a press release due tomorrow.
Yeah. I look forward to it. I mean, tell me about it, Hall. Tell me about that goal. We seem to be susceptible to a bit of a cross, don't we?
Well, I were away all day on Saturday, so I got a little bit of a 3-minute match report when my signal came back, and then it sounded like at the point where all the messages came in that we were doing well, then I got the sucker punch that we weren't in fact doing very well. So I'm not quite sure, but I don't understand how we can be susceptible to that kind of cross when everybody that we've got is a giant man. We've got a million giant people, and then we still can't defend a cross.
The goal, I think, I've watched it back today. Obviously, I watched it at the time and thought, Bambo, you're the problem. But it's a team problem. We've Patterson's headed the ball out. It's gone to Smith. Smith, his role in the goal is to hold the ball up so players can move on. So he can be the pivot that people are going to go off. He loses the ball straight away. Gregory's playing deep, so Gregory attempts to flick out at one of their players. Don't get anywhere near him. Their player lays it in. Delgado, nowhere, because he can't play. He's not a left wing back, so he's the wrong side. Kid falls down, and then there's a phase of play in and around the area where it's coming and then moved back out to the wing for the cross. But I tell you, as all this is going on, Bambo he's not within 5 yards of players that are just drifting. And on first impression, you look at it and think, I've had to watch it 2-3 times. Does he even look over his shoulder to see where that player is? And we're not just talking about a momentary situation where he needs to see where his man is. This goes on for a full phase of play that lasts 10 seconds. Yeah. The players have drifted 10, 15 yards into the box.
And 10-year-olds, when they flock after the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. And I personally attribute it to the fact that we've talked about the style of football that we want to play, but we're sitting in. We saw it against Southampton. We're sitting in, we're sitting deep, and we're surrendering a lot of possession of the ball, but we're not pressing. We're not pushing people on. We're not forcing what are, in my opinion, relatively speaking, the average teams to make mistakes in this league. We're giving them too much time on the ball, which is what's happened. They're picking out passes. And by the time the ball has come in and it's flicked, Bernard has moved. And to be fair to Bernard, he's held on to a player. So he's got his man and tried to do something with it after the first ball.
That's my boy, Deshaun. This guy.
And then Byers as well. Byers does his best to get in and around and try and lay a glove on somebody. But Diaby, all Diaby's worried about is getting his hands behind the back and standing there. And the guy's got all the time in the world to rifle it into the top corner.
Yeah, he's doing kick-ups on the edge of our 6-yard.
He was trying to get his foot in, wasn't he? Looking at it, he's trying to find his foot in.
But he's nowhere near.
No, his footing's nowhere near, and he's all wrong. He's set all wrong, not anticipating that ball coming in whatsoever. And this is, I thought Dijon was very good. I liked him. I like the look of him. He can play football, but Bambo is a massive liability. And I don't know why we're playing him.
That happened against Preston, didn't it? It was like we'd trained on one specific type of ball coming in. And once they all tried to defend it, they hadn't thought about what happens after that. So once we headed it away, for example, once it would just easy Preston possession again, and then it just came back at us, and they all went, "Oh, we have worked on this bit."
Like they've gone, "Hey lads, if the ball comes in, you get your man because you missed it at Preston." Yes, boss. So he's got his man. He's got his man, and they've all gone, "Well, that's it, lads. See you later. That's me done." And there's a geezer doing kick-ups and neck flicks on the penalty spot, like, you know what I mean? I tell you what. Now, Simon. So after this goal had gone in, now there's a good half an hour of play happening before the goal and getting to the goal. But before you do, is this when the chanting started?
The chanting started in the first half. We were sort of right of the goal, and it was coming from the far right hand side as it curved round. And they were very vocal. You could hear it, but it was definitely in the first half. We were still 0-0. I don't know whether Chansiri was there. I don't know if anybody knows if he was actually at the game. But it started in the first half. It was very vocal in the first half. Obviously, we came out in the second half. They got the goal, and it got louder. But it was always loud. It was always loud because we bumped into some friends down there, and we were all on the same row because that was really weird. We got there. We got tickets. We got in. It was supposed to be a sellout. We got up. The steward went, "You can stand anywhere." So we were like, "Pardon? Oh, you can stand anywhere. You can stand." They got safe standing. So it was like, you can stand anywhere. So, okay, fair enough. So I said to Ethan and his mates who we'd met there, right, you take us to where you want to stand. We'll stand wherever you want to go. So we did. And then there were people coming in going, "That's my seat." But we were told stand anywhere. Oh, nobody's told us that. So it was a bit of a weird thing. But yeah, exactly. But no, it started in the first half. There was a groundswell, though, wasn't there, on Twitter the night before? I noticed Thursday night. There's been
one since Darren Moore went, to be fair, but this is the first time we've actually voiced it. And I tell you what, let's pull at that thread after we've got through this game. So let's get to the goal, and then we'll talk about that after.
So what we took in the penalty? So we've had the goal.
Barry's moment of genius.
Oh, Barry's goal. Oh man. So we were battering them. So they scored. And we were like, "Oh fuck." And then we just battered them. We battered the living daylight out of them. But we just didn't have that final. It just seemed to be lacking somebody up front. There was Smith. Gregory was playing too deep. Windass was running them to bits. But we just didn't seem to have enough people in the box. Every time Windass broke, there was nobody in the box. And then Baz got the ball. And I know I derided him last week on the podcast, said he might be heading towards his twilight career. But I think he is because of his age. But the positioning was superb. Cisco did actually play him in the right position. He got the ball, and we actually thought it hit the side netting at first because it was so close to that post. And it was sublime. He got it. They gave him loads of space. We should have scored way before that. Barry decided, "I'm having a pop." And it was beautiful. It was sexual. It was sexual. It was that good.
That's interesting, actually. So before I come to you, Hollie, about Bannon's goal, there was Stevie. Did you see these two sitters essentially that Windass missed? The one where he's stood on his own in the 18-yard box, Steve. And he's gone. It's like he's gone, oh, shit. Oh.
Yeah.
And it's like he just didn't expect to have that much space, did he?
No. Was this the one when he started banging on about how he thought it should have been a penalty, or was that a little bit later? Because there was one where he's got clipped.
Yeah, there's one where it goes tearing over the top because obviously Chisco ball now is just smashing it over the top. And he's gone, oh shit.
But he's the guy that played furthest forward. I've seen a infographic or whatever you call them, like a picture, an image that showed the average position. He was the most advanced player this year, last weekend. So what instructions are Smith and Gregory getting for Windass, who's supposed to be playing behind, advance to the midfield to be pushing on? Why are we expecting and setting up to have our? Because let's be right, Smith is a target man. He's nothing else. Yep. And then, whatever we think, his job is get the ball and be the person that Gregory, Windass, Bannon, to a lesser extent the wing backs, if we're advancing, can go and feed off, can go and work off. And it's just bizarre the way that we do it and the way that it's been set up.
This is exactly right, Steve. Is the fact that he seemed to be playing Smith and Greg so deep. The ball was being pinged over by Vasquez, and Patterson was heading it on for Windass. So the ball was coming over. Patterson would flick it over the top. Windass to get the ball, run down the wing, but our two big lads were still in the middle of the park because they were looking to receive that ball as well. And then they weren't on the toes. But then there was nobody there. So he was having to try and take players on and have a go. And again,
I'm sure deep down something like Josh Windass would enjoy getting the ball down and taking
he was
players
superb.
on.
I thought it was really good. He was really good on
Saturday. I'm glad because sometimes he's hot and cold for me. He's more hot than cold, but when he shits the bed, he shits the bed. Now, Hollie, last week we were at home to Preston. And every time we had a corner, your dad kept saying, "There's nobody in." What did he keep calling it? The Glenn Whelan position. The edge of the D. Is it that where Bannon scored that goal from? Is that the Glenn Whelan position? Is that what he means?
Absolutely. That's what we've been saying all this time. That's where everybody wants Bannon to be. He'd score every game if he was there.
Yeah. He's got he had nobody around him, did he? He picked his.
Do you know what? As soon as it's worked round, and I think we did have possession. We had the better of the game, sort of 5-10 minutes either side of the goal, which I have said I think papers over the cracks a little bit. But the moment that Windass has got the ball and he's worked it round and he's fed Bannon, you just knew. And for all the derision that the guy gets, for all the people going. And, as Simon has said, he made a comment last week and he's gone back to that tonight about him going into the twilight element of his career. Barry Bannon at 32, 33, doing what Barry Bannon does is still good enough for this championship if he's played in the right level, position, if he's played and given the right sort of support around him, if he's given the right instructions from the manager. Barry Bannon can be an absolute baller for us this year. Playing off the shoulder of Lee Gregory or Michael Smith, or God forbid, do respect Ashley Fletcher, is not the right position for this kid because he's older. He's too small to play as a 10. I'm sorry he is, because sometimes you have to be a secondary striker and you have to go and do things that, a Gregory would do or a Smith would do. For me personally, get him in the middle, get him doing what he's doing. And just because he's that little bit deeper, he's advanced into that position, we'll call it the Whelan position. He's advanced into that area on Saturday. And he's had time to set himself. He didn't need the time that he had because the moment he'd opened his body out and set it, I had my sister around. She was watching the game. Molly popped her head around the corner. I'd gone, right, we're in. And as soon as that ball went across, I've gone goal. And I cheered before he'd even triggered because you just know he's that good.
He had all day to pick it.
But watching that goal, their defenders are scrambling one way or doing a bit of an us, scrambling one way then the other, which makes me frustrated that we couldn't just get another one quickly if their defence is like that, being drawn all over the place.
Do you know what, Hollie? I've had a quick look because I'm thinking the Windass header that's been tipped round, which was a good header to be fair, and the keeper's made a decent save. It felt to me that was the first on target attempt at goal since the Hull goal
Yeah.
Michael Smith 2 weeks previously. I couldn't remember. I genuinely couldn't. So I've gone back tonight. We've had 8 shots on target this season. We've played 4 games and had 8 shots. We are currently averaging 1 shot on target every half game. That's horrific.
And I tell you what, if anybody's looking at that Sky Sports boost where Son can't get 1 on target in the bloody early game on Saturday, I tell you what, we'd be absolutely busting coupons all over town. Now, listen, I'm a bit concerned about time. So, and then later on, heartbreakingly, Will Vaults went for one of these headers where he's doing like the Mickey Mouse ears. He's handballed it. They've got a penalty, 98th minute, and we've gone home with another L. Absolutely frustrating to death. Now, to segue this in, obviously the chance of Chansiri out came again at the end of the game, and I feel like we need to address this. Now, I've got a question in terms of this Chansiri thing, and Simon, I'll come to you first. Why now? Why now? Because if you look at the list of fuck-ups that Chansiri's done, right, if you look at the list of bullshit that geezer's done over the last 8 years, why has it taken us that till now to do something about it?
I think there are a number of reasons, but probably the main one is that we had a huge swell of good feeling after the Peterborough game leading into Wembley and then getting promoted. And there was a huge feeling amongst Wednesday fans that we were on the crest of a wave, that maybe our time in the city between the two teams, maybe it was our time, despite the fact that they're now in the Premiership. I think we felt that we were starting to get things right, that our manager had brought our manager had some people who wasn't completely sold on him. But I would suggest that what it has done is that he's Chansiri since Wembley has completely destroyed that feeling, that good feeling that we had. Any sort of positivity that the fan base had, any sort of pride of wearing that shirt. You know, that shirt came out when we had the tour at the City Hall. You were proud to wear a Wednesday shirt. Who's proud to wear a Wednesday shirt now?
Let me just play devil's advocate. Let me just Adrian Durian for half a second here, right? So, for whatever opinion you've got on the Darren Moore story, and like I've always said, everybody wants to be polarized on something. You're either in this camp or that camp. Let's sit here for a bit, right? Neither Darren Moore or Chansiri are absolutely blameless in any of this scenario.
No.
Now, it's just one of those things where you go, they couldn't agree terms. That's it, right? They couldn't agree terms. They couldn't. Their vision didn't align, and the wage expectations didn't align. Now, that to me is sensible. You go, listen, have a good time. See you later. You part ways, right? You can't do it because what we expect to do is for Chansiri to go, how much do you want, Jeff? To a bloke that kind of divided the fan base anyway, right? So it's just one of them times where it just didn't work out. Now we move forward, and we've got a manager who's gotten into the Premier League before. He's got out of that league, which on paper or at a club where the chairman is also mad as a fish in petrol. So, in terms of the appointment we've got, we go, okay, you're the next guy, come on in. And we can't turn around and we can't fault the chairman at this point on this end because he's backed his new manager. What we had, 9-10 signings, he's backed him. He's given him the players that he wants to play Chisco ball. On the other end, on this camp, right, he's fleeced the fans left, right, and centre. Now, Chansiri did not stick his hand out in the 98th minute to give away a penalty. That's just one of those things. That's football. That's why we like this game, right?
And the results, like we've always said, and we've had this conversation ad infinitum since COVID and before, is that the results and what's going on that we can see on the pitch and happening that we can see at the club influences how the fans feel. So if we are winning games, you don't give a shit what's going on in the background because we're winning games, right? But what happened was that the fallout from Moore going, yes, you're right. He's you've got Moore here, Chansiri here. We'll never know the truth. As Lee Bullen said, there's the truth, the Chansiri, and so on and so forth. But what happened after that was it was obvious there was no planning to a successor. It was obvious that we've then when we had Carlton Palmer, we had the fans forum. If the fans forum had not happened, if the club had gone, I'm sorry, but we didn't realise this was going to happen, we're going to have to cancel the fans forum. Chansiri has gone down this route of basically bouncing from one perceived disaster to another. To we need players. Oh, here's a load of players, but right. So, for example, is Bambo any better than Hiekwe? I asked a question on the WhatsApp.
Hiekwe is the best defender we've got, as far as I can.
Why? So, I asked the other day. I asked earlier on. Why did Iorfa? Why did Femwo? Why did Hiekwe not play? Why did we play Bambo? Why were these? For me, Iorfa's been the best defender we've had since the start of the season. He started fit and he's superb. Ash came back and said he was rested. He was what? He was rested. We were talking last week about should we have midweek games, and we were saying no, let's not have midweek games. Let's build on trying to get the team playing forward. And he drops him, puts Bambo, who was.
Let's get back to Chansiri though.
He's buying players that actually aren't better than what we've already got. So this is another thing that pisses people off.
But isn't that Chisco's influence though?
But is it?
Because we spoke last week about this imaginary list, about this list of players.
But Dan, the propaganda
I think it's all shit.
But yeah, I agree. But the propaganda, he was asked that question. Oh, it's not down to them. We have a group of people who decide who the players are. I don't want to know. I don't want to know that. Why do I need to know that?
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
Don't we?
No, we don't.
Who's signing players?
Chansiri and an advisor. There's no. If you walk into the boardroom at Hillsborough, you'd expect to see. I'm not being funny. You'd expect to see. This is the point. You'd expect to see chairman, vice chairman, CEO, whatever. Yes. Who've we got? We've got Chansiri, and this is not a slight on any person that is working underneath him. We've got Braithwaite, we've got Dooley. At the fans forum, was there not a director of comms? And then, I'm fairly certain that underneath that, the next person in the hierarchy is the fucking security or catering manager. It's catering.
Right, so listen, on the back of that, right? Let me
on to the fans going.
Right, but this is my point, right? This is my point. Let me Adrian Dunn. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I genuinely think he shot his ass, right? We've had points deductions, we've had sales of the thing, but we've had 3 transfer embargoes. But let me tell you about this thing here. So this is an article from The Athletic from about a year and a half ago, and it says in the past, when asked about the management structure, Chansiri has maintained his advisors make up a team of CEOs, and that he does not believe in the director of football model, saying, "I'm not sure if in the UK you do the same." In Asia, we also have a duty for a board position. In some of my companies, I act as chairman and as CEO, sometimes as both or one or the other. As I already explained, the CEO needs to generate money to help the club. It doesn't mean they know football. Even if they've been in football for 15 or 20 years, people think they, CEOs, know football. But sometimes they don't know football. And again, it's just a Chansiri fucking meandering answer. But in his head, he doesn't need one. Now, we've got an absolute litany of things that have happened in the club because he's not surrounded himself in football people. Now, before I ask the middle-aged men, Holly, is there anything you'd like to add to this? Like, where do you sit on the Chansiri thing?
Even when it was like Dave Allen and all of that stuff long time ago with the black balloon protests and things, I just think that's the boring part of football, even when it's like a bit crazy and Chansiri is doing whatever he's doing. I don't care about that sort of stuff. And I know I don't want us to not exist anymore, but none of us support this club because of it being glorious every week and we have a great time watching spectacular football. I don't watch it for that reason. I watch it for other reasons, particularly with the situation at the moment. Personally, any football that I am watching is good enough for me. Yeah, and I moan about it, but I'm just what good does it do to go and then sing about it because Chansiri don't give a shit. When Sunderland fans paid the money and then left after 10 minutes I bet chairman did not give a shit about that because you've paid and then you've gone. Like, that doesn't do anything. So either the people who really do want to protest need to not go, or I don't know, like, I don't see that, like, everyone's complaining, say, Bambo, like we just said, Bambo's not as good as a Hekwe. But it's not actually his fault that he's not as good as a Hekwe. It's not his fault that he's signed for us. If someone said, do you want to sign for Wednesday? And he said, yeah, then fair enough. Like, so booing him, what good does that do? He's not going to get better in the game for booing him. And Chansiri's not going to say, oh my God, they're singing about me. It just doesn't accomplish anything. It just makes it a bad day all round, doesn't it? I mean, Stevie, if you were there with Molly and everyone's making a really horrible atmosphere, it's not going to make for a good day for you, is it? I don't really see the point in that bit. I go to the football just to have a good time, regardless of that stuff.
I think all those things.
I think protests. I think it's a statement, isn't it? I agree with you to a large extent. I think the singing, any proposal or suggestion that we need to be boycotting, I absolutely agree is, and I'll say, in my opinion, it's an absolute nonsense, because people will say, if we do that, he's going to start listening. Ian, all he's going to do is he's going to charge more for more tickets, because that's what happens. The moment we stop putting money into the club by saying we're not going to buy tickets, the prices go up, because he's got to recoup the money. And that's why we're paying through the nose for absolutely everything, because we're skint, because of all the money that he's lost and all the things that he's done to put us in this situation. And that's the issue. Yes. He doesn't want to charge the money that he's charging. If Chansiri could charge 20, well,
I think he
all right,
does
it's somewhere in the middle. But
he's not going to sit there and go, "Oh shit, I've got too much money. I better start charging less."
Look, on Twitter last week, everybody was moaning about the cost of the Leeds tickets, weren't they? 47 quid, and we've sold out. So everybody's gone and moaned about it. All the fans have gone, "Oh, bloody hell, Leeds, 47 quid," and then turned it around on Chansiri and blamed Chansiri about it, when I actually thought Leeds were people charging for the tickets.
They only charge Cardiff about 16 quid, though.
They're doing it. It's the argument that it's the price match, and that to an extent does go back to Chansiri, because Chansiri's charging them what he's charging them.
Well, he hasn't yet.
Blackburn Rovers
he said they're a Group A, has he, or something.
Yeah,
like
Blackburn Rovers last season had a price band, and it was literally B, C, D, E, and then A was just A with the word Sheffield Wednesday written under it. You know what I mean? That was literally they shithoused this.
Everybody's moaned about it, but they've all gone.
That's
and spent the money on
Chansiri's
it.
fault.
They've all gone and bought the tickets. I
think, this is it.
But that's because it's the size of the fan base, Dan and Simon, isn't it? It's the size of the fan base.
Do you want me to do the capitalism rant again? Do you want me to do that again?
No.
It's great. It's great. But that's the thing, isn't it? People are going to complain. People are going to, and they're going to make their voices heard. And Dan asked a question earlier on, for everything that's happened. But if you look at it from a longer period of time, we access things in a different way in 2023 than we did in the days of Dave Allen, because there was no such thing as X. We didn't jump on forums. We didn't have, podcasts weren't a thing, were they? We weren't coming out here and taking. I consume. I'm who I am, and I don't buy newspapers. I consume my news from social media, because it tells me what I want to know. The big stories go to the big. It does.
Your tailor-picked people that you follow.
No, I'm talking.
X tell you to listen to. You listen to.
No, what I'm saying is the algorithm will give me stuff, and the trending topics will go, and I get to that, and I absorb it through that. But if at the same time, I get Sky News bulletin updates and so forth, and that's what I need to know. From a footballing point of view, the hashtag goes. If I look on. What's trending for me? It's Dave on Chansiri. For the majority of Sheffield Wednesday fans that are getting in and getting involved with it all, it's Chansiri bashing that consumes the amount of our time, because we sit there and we go, right, inherently what we're going to do, we're going to pick up a phone or a tablet, we're going to jump online and we're going to go bang, click. And that's what we do. We all do it. Everybody does it. Anybody that's listening to this, anybody that's on the hashtag, obviously, is picking up their phones and going, right, let's start bashing Chansiri, or let's be really edgy and go all the way the other way. But if you looked at it from a demographic point of view, the people that are actually having rational processes and thinking about it from a rational point of view that aren't trying to be edgy, controversial, like certain people that just go, get him out of my club. You know, why? What's the bigger picture? Or get behind him, stop moaning. What's the bigger picture there? There's no, there ain't enough in the middle that's saying, right, let's look at it from both sides and go, right, what would happen if Chansiri left our club? What is the answer? If you know, we can all say, and we all know that there are numbers, and you can believe what you want to believe. This person can come in and offer that. The Chansiri values the club at this price. To be able to get anything back, he's going to need to expect an investor to come in at this level. All of that is great, and it's an interesting conversation point. But where is the reality? How much is Chansiri actually going to accept for the club? Is he going to accept a loss? And until he comes out and says, I want this much money for the club, and these are the reasons I want this much money, it's going to recoup the price on the stadium or the cost of the stadium. It's going to make the club sustainable in terms of FFP, and it means that we're going to be set up for the next 3 to 5 years, and it is X million pounds. Fine, that's the transparency that we haven't got.
My issue with that is that we've got. I am more than happy to help sustain the club in terms of FFP, but given the bloated wages that we're dishing out on players that are broken, essentially, we get broken players and try and hope that they turn good. Jordan Rhodes being the poster boy for that. You know, Gary Hooper his career was on the wane, and we managed to get a tune out of him. Kieran Lee, Sam Hutchinson, we managed to get tunes out of those players, right? But we got broken players and we gave them inflated salaries, and now we're in the shit. And that's what
100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, the business model was completely. The business model was wrong, wasn't it? I mean, bear in mind there was 3,000 fans there on Saturday. 250 sang Chansiri out. You know, there wasn't 3,000 of us all singing it. I had to ask Ethan what they're singing. I heard Depths on Chansiri, and after that I was like, "What they're singing, mate?" Because I can't work out what they're singing.
Did you switch it to the T position? After in the bank?
Yeah. And it was, but there did seem to be a groundswell from the painted on beard man issuing a statement to Rob Staten earlier on in the week, and then Gaz Robinson was on Radio Sheffield on Friday, and that was all over Twitter, X, whatever it's called, on Saturday morning as I was having my beers stolen, and there was a slight groundswell up to that. But I agree entirely with Steve. There was this thing that's come out, this banner this week that people are posting on X, Twitter, whatever, right? This YMCA, right? This week.
There's no X in YMCA.
Well, no, yeah, there is in my version. Different version. Was this week this banner that's come out saying tickets were this price before he came and now they're this price and badge has changed and he's got Chansiri written on seats. Complete ill education in regard. And Steve brought it up, I think, this poor education. Right. So he's put Chansiri on the seats, not because he's a megalomaniac. Right, it might be. But not because he's a megalomaniac, it's because he's used that to the FA or the EFL to say, I've sponsored the club. This is how many millions I've put in. Because he has to show in the books under FFP how he's funding the club. Hence why we've had D taxes and elevate drink. You know,
it's the same with the crest as well. So changing the crest, it was first pioneered by Arsenal when they changed their crest. It's a way of securing copyright onto the branding. So when it comes to selling to people like who's that company that sell T-shirts for 20 quid that are just black Terrace Life, right? So what they do, they can now sell that branding to them for hundreds of thousands of pounds, whereas before they couldn't because it was intellectual property. So those type of things make sense for me, and I agree with you, Simon. I think what we've got a lot of people who are angry at the wrong things. Like I just want the old badge back. Well, you can't because progression.
Hollie has put a tweet up in the past as she wore that really, really thick shirt at Wembley, and the badge on it was brought in. It was the barcode shirt. And the badge changed from the old owl to slightly different owl. I think Dave Richards was in charge then. All right, we didn't have social media then. But apparently we've had the old easy to draw owl forever. No, we haven't. Because actually in the mid-90s, we changed the owl. We changed the owl. Then we went back and now we've changed again. I actually like the current design. I think it's great.
I like the one in the late 90s. Actually, I thought that was our best one. I really hated that 60s owl. I really don't like it.
Blame him over everything. And yes, he has made mistakes, and I think he's had an innate ability to grab that feel-good factor that we all had and go, fuck it. And we've all and on the crest of the wave, a lot of people have jumped onto the back of that. Price increases, can't get a pint at half time, pies are cold.
Did you sing that song though?
No,
did you join in, Simon? Did you join in?
No, I didn't. No, because
what about if you'd have had all your IPAs? Would you have joined in?
No. What's the alternative? What is the alternative? A man who queues amongst all the other fans, who wears an icon hat and has a painted-on beard. Right,
that bloke is skint. That man has got no money. And I need to say this out loud on this show. Be careful what you wish for. And I said this on X. I said this on X. I said we need to be careful what we wish for. I don't want Chansiri to go, and I want him to learn. I don't think he will. This is the bigger problem. But what I want him to do, I want him to learn about where he is in the country, how much money people have got in this part of the country. Get football people in who can spot a player. Get football people in who can negotiate a fucking contract. Cam Dawson, I'm looking at you. You know what I mean? We need to start looking at building forward. And I believe over the last 3 years, he went missing when we were in League One. We didn't see him, did we? We didn't see him. He was fighting to keep us in the Championship. Sacked Tony Pulis. We had Gary Bloody Monk before that. And then we had, it all went to shit. And then he buggered off because his toy was broken. And then he's come back this season. Yeah, let's charge him some more money. But then let's be honest, he's also opened his checkbook on the wages for the players that Chisco wants. And he's got a player he's got a manager, that's got pedigree on getting out of this league. Now, the issue is, and this is, Chisco doesn't know what's going on the pitch, but this is not the worst version of Dejphon Chansiri that we've ever had. There is a litany of mistakes that he's made over the last 6 years. More notably, the biggest one for me is the one that he can't just let people run the bloody business while he's away. He has final say on everything. That's the biggest one for me. But we must have had something happen over the last 3 years, because this is not the worst version of him that we've ever had. And because we're losing is the answer to the question that I asked 20 minutes ago, why now? Because, like you say, there was this big crest of a wave of going up in May. But what we need to realize is that winning the playoffs is that you are the 24th best team in the league going up, right, that you're going up to. And we all stand there and we'll go, yeah, come on, we're going up. This is amazing. And then you look up at you at 23 more asses that are higher up in the food chain than you are. And you need to get your ducks in order. The issue that the fans have got is that we've been charged to get our ducks in order for the mistakes he's made in the past. But he's put that onto the pitch, right? We've now got money coming in and that's where the fans have got the issue. He's opened his checkbook. He's done what he needs to. I don't understand the timing of it now, because at the minute, what we need to do is get behind the team. And I'm a big believer in, support the team and not the regime and all the rest of it. Do I think Dejphon Chansiri is a saint? No, he's a fucking idiot. He is one of those people that just will not take any feedback. And will he feel any pressure from 250 people 300 miles away in Cardiff singing? No, he won't. No, it'll go, what the fuck are they talking about? I just spent all my fucking money, which is what he's thinking. I just don't think it's helpful. What we need to do is we need to cheer the team on. We need to, and to be fair, Simon, like everybody, reamed out Catherine Mayer about saying that at Charlton. We are customers. And as soon as we realised that, we should be able to go, I'm going to pay for that. I'm not going to pay for that. And that's what we need to do. We need to pick and choose.
There's a simple way forward here, isn't there? That there are clubs out there that are owned and run by people like Dejphon Chansiri. But what he's done is he's put into place a management teams that run that club on their behalf. That you can't say that Manchester City are run by one person. Everybody blames the Glazers, don't they? I mean, apparently last night Manchester United fans were moaning at the Glazers because they've really properly messed up at Man U.
But let's be honest, right? The Glazers. I remember when Michael Owen first came available before he went to Newcastle after Real Madrid, and they went, how much do you want for my? And they wrote a blank check, and he still went to Newcastle because Shearer convinced him. The Glazers have turned that club into one of the biggest powerhouses in terms of recognisable brands across the world, up there with Apple and Coca-Cola. They've done that. They've made that. But everybody's like, well, get the green and gold scarves out. Why? You're still an absolute fucking mega house. Just because City have got more money than you and they're your local neighbours, that's the chip on your shoulder. Not the fucking Glazers. Grow up. But I'm just going to wrap this up with this quote, and this is a great example of Depon Chansiri. Let's put all this, let's remember the points deduction, the manager merry-go-round, let's the selling Hillsborough, all the rest of it. And this is stuff that you don't really hear about. And this is from that same article. It says, during talks about the position, one prospective manager was surprised to learn that part of the reason he had landed the chance to chat to Chansiri was a result of his career being talked up by the chairman's teenage son. Another prospective manager claims to have had a phone conversation with the same son to discuss the prospect of taking the job after he called his father unexpectedly while the two men were talking. So at Chansiri, the gag on Twitter, if this article is to be believed, does have a stake in what's that. Anyway, I could go round and round, but let's be angry for Chansiri at the right things. Let's just make sure that's what it is. And I'd love to hear more examples apart from ticket prices, because that club's always been expensive as far as I've been concerned. All right, it's more expensive now, but what we've got for our money has dwindled, and that's my issue. Apart from that, but that's more on the pitch and the quality of the shitty Elevate kits. But that's again, that's not happened in the last 3 years. But
wait till he resells Simon's IPAs on Tuesday.
I know. He'll pop them out. I've got these. Who wants them? 12 quid a pop. Right then, Hollie, listen, you've not spoke for ages, so listen, tomorrow night, do we need a League Cup run, or do we just need a win under our belt just to get that monkey off our back and just to absolutely smash somebody? I want to see 3-4-0. What about you, Mansfield?
I said before that I want a cup run. I do like a good cup run. It's not really what we do, though, is it?
No.
And the atmosphere is going to be naff, like it was at these similar kind of cup games last season. It were a bit pants, wasn't it? But things can only get better, is what I'm saying.
There's a song in there somewhere.
Well, even for the Leeds game on Saturday, we're not going to finish the season on no points. We're not going to lose to everyone. Mansfield, we might progress, and then who knows? We're not going to finish on nothing, so we're going to shit on someone. It might as well be Mansfield and Leeds.
I'd rather it be Leeds. Mansfield, I couldn't give a shit about. What about you, Stevie? What about you? What about you tomorrow night and Leeds? What do you reckon?
I'd like to. I want a cup run. The Arsenal game from 2015. From a financial point of view, it brings revenue in, doesn't it? It gets money under the coffers, which is what we've just been talking about. I think that's important. I think at the minute, if we were to go out tomorrow night to a League Two side, who I think are in decent form down there, you imagine how sour things were on Saturday at 5:30. It's not going to get any better. So from an atmospheric point of view, from a morale point of view, from a perspective that we want that groundswell that we've been struggling to regain, we need to win tomorrow night. So I do think it's probably more important than it would be if we got 3 wins under our belt out of 4 games or whatever. I want a cup run. I want to win tomorrow night, and I'm curious to see what happens Saturday. Leeds, I've got a couple of Leeds mates, and it weren't great at the start of the season, but all of a sudden, 1 or 2 of their lads have come back in. Is it Gononto? I don't know how you pronounce his name. Forgive me.
Gononto.
He's come in, and they seem to be happy about that, and it just feels like they might be on an upward trajectory at the minute. So I think
but listen to this,
a big game.
If we lost to Mansfield and everybody genuinely thinks like, how can this get worse? What is more the football that we know and love than Leeds have just put 4 past top of the league Ipswich, right? And we haven't got a single point, and then we lose to Mansfield, and then we just absolutely hammer Leeds.
Forest Green beat us last season.
It could happen.
We are this year's Forest Green.
We're the Forest Green now, bitches.
What about you, Simon? Next 2 games, what do you reckon?
I'm like Steve. I want a cup run. I do not want to see us lose to Aidan Flint's derby tomorrow. It's just typical. He'll pop up back post and score, won't he? You know, despite him not scoring for us. No, I want us to do a cup run because there's nothing finer than Hillsborough on TV beating Newcastle and teams like that. You know, that's great. I just don't hold any hope out for the weekend whatsoever. We look so fragile. Going back to the game on. Sorry to go back to the game on Saturday, Dan. But when we made our substitutions, we just replaced like for like. I mean, Ashley Fletcher, he's not a footballer. I'm sorry. We just made like for like. Volks for. Oh God, brains gone. Byers. You know, Byers is having a great game. Should never have brought him off. It was just like, I just worry so much about. So I'm not going. Ethan's going. I decided I don't want to go. He can go. I just don't want to put myself in that position. Being I hate Leeds as it is. I really dread it, mate. If they come out, Hollie, if they beat them, that'd be amazing. And I wasn't there, and I don't really give a shit. But I can't see us getting a point.
Am I right in thinking that? What Jesus, Dan, I don't. I must admit, Hollie, am I right in thinking that this is your ends? Like this is one of the big clubs around near where you live?
Yes, I'm in West Yorkshire. Loads of my friends will be there in the other end. So yeah.
So that turn your phone off afterwards because I don't think it's going to go well anyway.
My next door neighbour's a Leeds fan, and he goes.
Brilliant.
He's got a season ticket and goes every home game.
This is going to be fun for everybody involved.
Yes.
All right then. Listen, thanks a lot for joining us. I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll see you later. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. As Sheffield Wednesday falls to its 4th defeat on the bounce, leaving them the only team in the EFL not to register a single point. Unrest started to rumble in the usually very loyal Sheffield Wednesday fan base. As we fell to a 98th minute penalty, chants. What the fuck of that? I've absolutely written that wrong.
Does it say sugar tits?
It could say sugar tits.
Are we pressing pause here?
Can this be an outtake?
Fell to a 98th minute penalty.
Yeah, keep it in. Yeah, keep it in. Let's just keep rolling. Yeah.
It doesn't say we're live on Facebook, so you're good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast where the main guy cannot read words that he wrote 10 minutes ago.
Literally 10 minutes ago.
He gets told off over the weekend and he goes to pieces.
Fuck off. Right. Hello.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.